Okay, Module 3, Lesson 9, adding fractions using equivalent fractions, but we're going to be using abstract, which means just numbers instead of models. On B, one thing I showed earlier was that if you're having a hard time remembering on these, if you had 3/5 plus 1/11, and you're going to create two different fractions, you start off by multiplying your two denominators. So it'll be 5 times 11, and that's going to be on both new fractions. Then we're going to come up, we got 3 times 11. That's going to be our first numerator. And then I'm going to go 1 times 5. It's our second denominator. Then I have my operator, which is my plus sign. And I can see I've got my happy face here if I've done everything correct. Now when we simplify this, 3 times 11 gives us 33. 5 times 11 gives us 55. Plus 1 times 5 gives us 5. And 5 times 11 gives us 55. So we add these together, we end up with 38 55ths. Now let's see if we can reduce this. We have 38 55ths. Now we talked about this. We're going to worry about prime numbers such as 2, 3, 5, and 7. And 2, they both have to be even to be divisible by 2. And we can see here 55 is not even, so it is not going to be divisible by 2. For 3, the sum of the digits have to be divisible by 3. So in this case, I would take 8 plus 3 equals 11. And this one here, 5 plus 5 is 10. Neither one of these is divisible by 3. So 3 is not a good choice. For 5, has to end in 0 or 5. Now 38 does not end in 0, 5, so it's not divisible by 5. Now on 7, like I said, you just need to know your multiples of 7 for 7. And I know 7 times 5 is 35, so 38 is not divisible by 7. So our answer would be 38 55ths. Now the next one, I'm going to show you how to do a tree to find the least common multiple, lowest common multiple. If I do the tree up here, because if I just did the same way we did the last one, we'd have 2 9ths plus 5 6, and when we rewrote our fraction, we'd have 9 times 6 and 9 times 6 over 2 times 6 and 5 times 9, and we'd be adding the 2, which in this case we'd end up with 12 54ths plus 45 54ths, which is going to give us 57 54ths. Now 57 54ths is equal to 54 54ths plus 3 54ths, which equals 1 and 3 54ths. Now I'm going to take 3 54ths over here, and I know they're not divisible by 2 because they're not both even. But I can see they are divisible by 3 because 5 plus 4 is 9 and 3. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And I'm going to end up being 1. And 3 go into 5 1 times and 8. So it ends up being 1 and 1/18. Okay. Now, if we were going to do this with the least common denominator like I showed you in class, we'd start by going 6 and 9. And we're going to find the least common multiple by going 6, 12, 18, and 24. Now 9, I'm going to go 9, 18. And I don't have to go any further. I can see I have a common multiple, which is 18. So In this case, I could convert both 2/9 and 5/6 into 18ths. So if I did that, it'd be 2/9 times, now I'm looking at what I have to multiply 9 by to get 18, and that would be 2. So it'd be 2 seconds. Plus, second one is 5/6, and I know I have to multiply 6 by 3 to get 18, so the top would be 3. Now when I multiply this, I'm going to get 4/18 plus 15/18, which equals 19/18. 19/18 equals 18/18 plus 1/18, which equals 1 1/18. Same answer, just a different way of doing it. Now, to the bottom down here, I have 3 fractions. Now, I do not have to add all 3 of these fractions at the same time. I can reorder them and make it easier on myself. I can see right now that I can turn 2/5 into tenths. Because if I did my tree here with 5 and 10, I can see I'd have 5, 10, and 10 is my first multiple. So I can add these two together. So if I do 2/5 plus 1/10, I'm going to do those first, plus 1/4. I just reordered it. Now I know 2/5, I would have to multiply that by 2/2 plus 1/10 plus 1/4. So this becomes 4/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/4. So now I can see I have 5/10 plus 1/4. Now I could multiply and get a multiple of 40, but let's see if we can come up with a different one over here. I've got 4 and 10, and I'm going to go 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. And I can see right there 10, 20. I have a common multiple of 20. So I'm going to change these two to 20ths. So I got 5/10 times, I know I have to multiply the 10 by 2 to get 20, plus the 1/4, I'm going to have to multiply that by 5 to get 20. So now I have 5/10 times 2/10 can be 10/20ths plus 5/20ths, which equals 15/20ths. So now that we have 15/20ths, I can see those are multiples of 5, and that would be 3/4. So that would equal 3/4. Okay, and F. Once again, let's see if we can find a common multiple. We have 8 and 12. We'll have 8, 16, 24. And you know what? I can stop there because I know 24 is a multiple of 12. So I'm going to turn both these into 24s. So I'm going to start over here and go 5 8s. And now I have to multiply 8 times 3 to get 24. So that's what I'm going to do to change that equivalent. Then I have 7 12ths, and I know I have to multiply that by 2 to get 24. So multiply top by 2. So now when I multiply these, I have 15 24ths plus 14 24ths, which gives me 29 24ths, which is equal to 24/24 plus 5 24ths. So I end up with 1 and 5 24ths. Now they're not multiples of 2, they're not multiples of 3, they're not multiples of 5, and they're not multiples of 7, so that is in reduced form. On G, now we're adding a mixed number, but we're going to just ignore the whole number for right now. We're just going to add the fractions. I have 1/3 plus 3/4 plus 1. I'm just going to get it out of the way for right now. So now I'm going to add these fractions first. Now if I'm looking for a common multiple of 3 and 4, I can see this is 3, 6, 9, and 12. And I know 4, 8, and 12. 12 is our common factor. So Now I'm going to take these fractions and I'm going to change them to twelfths, which I know I have to multiply this by 4 to get 12, so the numerator by 4, plus 3/4, and we're going to multiply that by 3 over 3 to get 12, plus 1. So we end up with 4 twelfths plus 9 twelfths plus 1, which gives us 13 twelfths plus 1, which when we change this, which is equal to 12 twelfths plus 1 twelfth plus 1, which is equal to 2 and 1 twelfth. Up top on H, so again, if we do this, we have 4 and 6. I know I can go 4, 8, 12, 6, 12. Least common multiple is 12. So I'm going to take 5, 6, and turn it into 12 by multiplying it by 2 over 2. Plus, and I'm just going to work with a fraction for right now, 1/4, and I'm going to multiply it by 3 to get 12. And then I'm going to add in a whole number at the end. So now we can see we have 10 twelfths plus 3 twelfths plus 1. We can add our fraction together. Now we have 13 twelfths plus 1, which is equal to 12 twelfths plus 1 twelfth plus 1, which now gives us 2 and 1 twelfth. How about that? They both equal 2 and 1 twelfth. Okay, number 2. On Monday, Ka practiced guitar for 2/3 of 1 hour. When he finished, he practiced piano for 3/4 of 1 hour. How much time did he spend practicing instruments on Monday? So basically, this is just giving us 2/3 plus 3/4. Because if we had a tape diagram, we can see we had 2. This is 2/3, and this was 3/4, and this one was practicing guitar, and this here was practicing piano, and this here would be the total time practice. Now, if we do our least common multiple of 3 and 4, we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 4, 8, 12. We can see we have 12s. So I'm going to take 2/3 times 3 times 4 is 12, so it's going to be 4/4 plus 3/4 times 4 times 3 is 12, so 3 up top. So now we end up with 8 twelfths plus 9 twelfths equals 17 twelfths, which equals 12 twelfths plus 5 twelfths, which equals 1 5 twelfths. He practiced for 1 5/12 hours. Four. Joe spends 2/5 of his money on a jacket and 3/8 of his money on a shirt. He spends the rest on a pair of pants. What fraction of money did he use for the pants? Well, if we look at a tape diagram, and this one says 2/5, and that was for a jacket, and it shows 3/8, and this was for a shirt, and this one here has to be, because it says he spends the rest on pants. And that's what we're looking for. Now up here, this can be total money, which is basically 1. So I know that 1 plus 1, excuse me, I know 2/5 plus 3/8 plus some unknown value has to equal 1. So by looking at this, I also know that if I take 1 minus the sum of 2/5 plus 3/8, that will give me how much her pants were. So let's go ahead and I can simplify this a little bit. Okay. So I have 2/5 and 3/8. Now, if I do my multiples, 5 and 8, I know I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay. I still haven't seen a multiple 8 in there. 35 and 40. So 40 is our common denominator. So we're going to have a 2/5 times 8/8 plus 3/8 plus, times 5/5. So that gives us 16/40 plus 15/40, which is going to give us 31/40. So now we know 1 minus 31/40 equals what our pants are. And 1 can be written as 40/40 minus 31/40 equals 9/40. Now, these are not divisible by 2 because 9 is not an even number. They're not divisible by 3 because 40 is not divisible by 3. They're not divisible by 5 because 9 is not divisible by 5, and they're not divisible by 7 either. So it'd be 9/40. So he spent 9/40 of his money on pants. All right.